Donald Trump is moving closer to either pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell or giving her a commutation and releasing her from prison. And he seems that he may be using the government shutdown as cover to engage in his most heinous acts, including potentially pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell or commuting her sentence. There have been a number of events just over the past week that raise major red flags here about what's really going on. You put it all together, and I think you can come to the same conclusion that I have. Let's just put all of this together. On Friday, Donald Trump pardoned George Santos, who was sentenced to 87 months in prison for wire fraud and aggravated theft. Just to remind you, Santos pled guilty to filing fraudulent FEC reports, embezzling funds from campaign donors, stealing identities, and then swiping people's credit cards or charging those credit cards without authorization and consent, obtaining unemployment benefits through fraud, and lying on reports to the U.S. House of Representatives. Donald Trump put out a social media post saying that as long as you support me and always vote Republican, you can get a pardon or a commutation, and that Santos would be released immediately. Why am I talking about George Santos? Because Donald Trump is trying to prime the public, prepare the public to get used to this flurry of pardons and commutations that are going to take place. As I put in a social media post, Santos is the appetizer, just getting ready for the ultimate pardon of Ghislaine Maxwell. I think in many ways, the point of pardoning Santos, more than anything, in addition to just giving another FU to our justice system, is to start moving in the direction of that pardon of Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me remind you of some other events that went down this week. The yacht, once owned by Ghislaine Maxwell's father, caught fire and was largely destroyed in Washington, D.C. It was called the Lady Ghislaine, and this was owned by Robert Maxwell, who died on the boat in 1991. If you want to see the shady connections here as well, that boat was then subsequently purchased by Rupert Murdoch's ex-wife, Anna Murdoch Mann, and who the Murdochs owned that boat. The death, by the way, of Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert, in 1991 was under very suspicious circumstances. He was allegedly peeing naked off the side of the boat and then fell over, I guess was the official story. It was then determined that he engaged in a massive fraud and embezzlement scheme of his companies, quite literally stealing from his employees. He then, and the Maxwell name was then tainted, another disgrace. That's when Ghislaine tried to reinvent herself with Jeffrey Epstein. And actually, Donald Trump, one of the first times he met Ghislaine was on that boat of Robert Maxwell. So the story and reporting is this yacht that was built in 1986 caught on fire mysteriously this week. The firefighters discovered an electrical fire in the upper deck, and this boat was docked in Washington, D.C., very suspiciously as well. Firefighters were dispatched and put out the fire on that boat named Lady Ghislaine. Also, what other data points did we learn this week? Well, not just in addition to Lady Ghislaine Maxwell, remember, she was moved from that Tallahassee maximum security prison because she was convicted of child sex trafficking, where she's supposed to rot in prison for 20 years for being one of the ringleaders of this massive sex child trafficking ring. She was moved to Camp Bryan, this minimum security facility in Texas. Donald Trump gave the sex trafficker an exemption from the Bureau of Prisons because she's not allowed to be in a minimum security facility in Camp Bryan for crimes that are usually more financial in nature or smaller crimes. She was moved there, as we all know. It's right by the Texas A&M University as well. But over the past week, we've seen that mysterious visitors have been going into Ghislaine Maxwell's prison to meet with Ghislaine, which then would cause the entire prison to go into lockdown mode. The inmates who thought they were going to a minimum security facility, they're complaining that she's getting preferential treatment within the minimum security security facility. They're like, this is a minimum security facility. You've already moved in a child sex trafficker here. We don't want to bring our children around her. This is supposed to be a family-friendly minimum security facility. We work with students at Texas A&M and the criminal justice system for restorative justice programs. Why the hell are you bringing a convicted sex trafficker in the first place into this minimum security facility? Then beyond that, mysterious guests, had Wall Street Journal first reported it, they would shut down the prison so she can have these secret meetings with secret people. Nobody knows who these secret people are that are meeting with her. She's obviously preparing for something right here. And another observer said that she's being treated like a guest in a 5-star hotel. They're treating her like some VIP in a VIP hotel, prison experts have been saying.
Ever have one of those days where you're juggling 1,000 things and by the time the sun goes down, the last thing you want is a hangover the next morning? Same here. That's why I've started reaching for Willie's THC-infused social tonic, because honestly, sometimes you just need to unwind without the regrets. For me, Willie's is the perfect weekday alcohol alternative. Whether I'm relaxing after a long day or trying to get into a creative zone, this is the one that actually works. Unlike some of those non-alcoholic drinks that promise a buzz but don't deliver, Willie's gives you an uplifting, euphoric feeling, and you feel it in about 15 minutes. Plus, it's made by the Willie Nelson, so of course it's got that chill, peaceful energy built in. It's low calorie, low sugar, comes in 5 milligram or 10 milligram doses, and that subtle tropical citrus flavor is perfect whether you sip it over ice or toss it in a mocktail. One shot of Willie's helps you relax, unwind, and de-stress. Perfect for taking the edge off at the end of a long day or socializing with friends, Willie's offers the kind of feeling that makes good company even better. Willie's sold out 3 times in the first 6 months with over 50,000 plus happy customers, and they just restocked. Willie's ships directly to your doorstep in over 40 states. Order now at drinkwillies.com and use code MIDAS, M-E-I-D-A-S, for 20% off your first order and free shipping on orders over $95, and enjoy life in the high country. That's drinkwillies.com, promo code MIDAS, M-E-I-D-A-S.
So who's she meeting with? Why is her yacht catching on fire? Remember, this follows the United States Supreme Court rejecting her final appeal to the Supreme Court on her case. So to me, the Trump regime is treating her like a VIP superstar. She's controlling what happens next because she obviously knows what Donald Trump was up to. She obviously knows about his dark past. They were close friends, as close as can be. She's on emails that Bloomberg discovered, 19,000 emails, where she talks about a very shady real estate transaction that Donald Trump, this was part of the falling out between Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in 2004, 2005. This healthcare executive guy in West Palm Beach was supposed to, in a foreclosure, set it up so that Epstein was going to buy the house for like 30 million, 35 million. Then Trump and the guy set it up so Trump bought it for $45 million. Then about 3 or 4 years later, Trump sold that same property for like $90 million to a Russian oligarch who then basically destroyed the home after buying it. There were some who suspected, I don't know, I'm just saying, I don't know. There were some who suspected, could it be a money laundering scheme? What the hell could have happened? No one ever got to the bottom of it. But there are emails between Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein that were discovered, which totally also shows that Ghislaine was lying when she met with the DOJ, Donald Trump's former criminal defense lawyer turned number 2 at the DOJ, Todd Blanche. She's like, I don't know much about it. You were talking about Trump like in 2007, 2008 emails about that real estate transaction. That real estate transaction pissed Jeffrey Epstein off because Epstein thought he was going to buy it for $35 million. And then Epstein started threatening Trump over that transaction. And then, many people believe, or some people believe, was it then that Donald Trump basically became, was he an informant, or did he tip off the FBI and let them, or the local police authorities, to let them know what he knew about Epstein? Because he and Epstein hung out. He said he was a great guy. Epstein sex trafficked from Mar-a-Lago girls like Virginia Giuffre. And in like a bad way was Trump like then telling on Epstein to help himself because Epstein knew about the transaction over that real estate deal. In any event, a lot of developments this week. And may I remind you that a few weeks back, when Donald Trump's press secretary, chief propagandist Caroline Leavitt, was asked about clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell, she didn't deny that this is what Donald Trump was thinking about. Here, play this clip.
Today, the Supreme Court declined to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. Will Trump rule out granting her clemency? Is that something the White House is considering?
It's not something I've heard discussed, and we don't comment on clemency requests that may or may not have been made, but I'm certainly not tracking that one at this point in time.
I would also like to remind you that we're in this government shutdown. One of the reasons is because Donald Trump does not want Congress to go back into session. He's ordered, MAGA Mike, do not speak to Democrats, yet alone negotiate with Democrats, because if Congress goes back into session, then Adelita Grijalva, the congresswoman-elect from Arizona's 7th congressional district, would be sworn in as a member of Congress. She would become the 218th signature on that discharge petition to release the Epstein files, all of it. Trump and MAGA Mike are terrified of it. So in addition to wanting to rip away your health care, 20 million Americans losing health care while Argentina is getting a $40 billion bailout, part of this also is Trump wanting to cover up the Epstein files and not ever swear in Adelita Grijalva. Watch what goes down here as Ro Khanna explains the real reason for this government shutdown. Play this clip.
Look, the speaker was asked this morning by a mother almost in tears, a Republican mother, saying the troops are not being paid. Can we at least get Congress in to pay the troops? And they don't want to have Congress in to pay the troops because they're afraid of swearing in Adelita Grijalva, because they're afraid of a vote on the Epstein files. It is just so rotten. And it really raises the question, what is there to hide?
And may I also remind you that when Donald Trump was asked in the past few weeks about, are you pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell after the Supreme Court rejected Ghislaine's appeal, Trump said he would look into it. Here, play this clip.
The Supreme Court is back and said that they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
You know, I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly.
So I think when you tie this all together, some shady stuff is taking place. The destruction of the yacht, mysterious guests going in and meeting with Ghislaine, the pardon of George Santos right there, the government shutdown taking place, the discovery of new emails, right? As the walls are closing in, I think you see the plan developing, and I hope you see the way I've showed you all those data points, because to me, it paints a very compelling picture. I'm giving you my opinion. Opinion. Come to your own opinion. But I think if you use the data, maybe you come to my opinion. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thank you so much for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.